Hey guys, welcome back. Tisha here, back with the final review for Sister Wives season 15. I have so much to say about this one, but I don't know where to begin. Let me start by saying that I am pissed. Pissed. Seriously, I'm laughing, but I'm ticked off. Mary, Caroline Brown, I'm going to start with your delusional tale. This is a perfect example of why most of the time, Mary, I don't like you. And I don't rock with you. And I don't get you because you do things quite often that get on my nerves. I cannot believe how Mary, who has been in a marriage for years, at least 5 to be exact, and she's been unhappy. It's been one-sided. Mary, who was ready to be on the first flight out of Vegas with her non-existent hunk of a man, Sam. Mary, who was recorded on the phone to Sam, a man that she never met, talking about on voicemails how he made her feel. If you didn't hear the recording, go look in my short section, and there's some recordings of her voice and her speaking to Sam, telling him, you love me and I love you and I'm not going anywhere, in a very seductive voice. That Mary is handling the conversation that we see at the latter part of the episode with Christine like all that didn't occur prior. How dare she open her mouth and tell Christine, who said on numerous occasions that she feels like her voice isn't heard or she's constantly being dismissed, that her emotions and her feelings were wrong and they weren't right because she was just sad and she was just speaking on emotions. Christine has every right to feel whatever way she feels. I think she meant well, but if Mary wants to stay bound and depressed and looking for scraps, hoping to say or do the one thing that will allow the bald eagle to have her come back into his nest, well, then she can do that by herself because she's in an emotionally, spiritually, and physically dead marriage. And in my opinion, it's sad. Next. Bald eagle is such a piece of bird poo-poo that I cannot wrap my brain around it. That he could put the needs of his daughter before his own. The double standard with how he handled the comment about surgery when it came to Maddie's daughter versus his own. All quite interesting to me. We'll get into it. There are people who I cannot stand. But when it comes to my child and his needs, if my child wants for certain people to be around in order for him to get a procedure done, then guess what? All of my feelings are going to go to the side to ensure that my child has whatever village he desires to be around him. And it enrages me that Cody can't speak regularly, so it doesn't help when I'm upset. It enrages me that Cody can't put these things to the side and do what's best for his child. Needless to say, I was upset majority of the episode. It's probably going to happen all over again, but we'll discuss it. Go ahead, do me a favor, and hit the like button as we begin. So it's the final episode of the season. We begin with Cody and Solomon. It's another day, and he's with his son, who apparently is interested in making home videos. He lets us know that Solomon and Ariella are his youngest children. Notice that whenever he talks about his youngest children, he always just talks about Solomon and Ariella and leaves Truly out, like Truly isn't just a year and a half older than Saul. Interesting, right? He just seems to always forget to include her in that. He says Solomon is 8 years old, and he's 4 years older than Ariella May. He's been bored and he hasn't been able to really have a life because of the pandemic. So he's going to take him to the landfill. He informs us that Solomon, who, as I said, is 8 years old, is learning how to read, and he likes mathematics. I said, hold on. Am I lost here? What do you mean he's learning how to read? He's 8 and he's learning how to read? Because my child was reading by the age of 4, so maybe I'm off here, but I would think that at 8 years of age that he should already be reading, unless there may be some type of developmental issues here, or unless his mother wasn't doing her job and teaching him how to read. Because when I was the age of 8, I remember having a membership to the Babysitter's Book Club, getting my 4 books every month. I remember taking trips to the library to grab books to read. I remember doing book reports. I remember all these things. And yet he's sitting here bragging about how his child is learning to read. I'm confused. It's like they purposely stunt these kids. I just don't get it. So Saul is bored, and according to him, Cody says he's not expressive, but he can tell that, this whole situation is bothering him. And as a result, he and Robin are concerned about not just Solomon, but the other kids as well, and their lack of a social life. Well, you created this dynamic even prior to this situation. And if you're really concerned about their social life, then create one for them. Cody feels like their issue isn't the breakdown, of the situation, but it's in their breakdown in an agreement on how they're supposed to have their family behave during the pandemic. He, from this point on, blames everything on Christine and the pandemic, because it's easier to do that than to admit his faults. Cody says if he spends a week at Robin's house, that he has a hard time enjoying himself because he is away from his other wives. He doesn't know how much longer they can go on like this. Excuse me. He looks mighty comfortable to me at that bird's home, and I'm not buying what he's trying to sell. I do think that at some points he missed Janelle, though, based on that embrace that we saw them do when he was gone for a little bit of time. But then another part of me wonders if it was just an act. I also feel like he missed his boys. He missed her sons until they started disagreeing with him. So, done with that. On to something else. All right, y'all. I need your opinions down below for this one, because this part of the episode really had me sitting there in disbelief. Cody shows up at Christine's house. He lets us know that they're going to have a talk outside because Christine has been traveling and he doesn't want any exposure. We get it. He tells us that in the beginning, he asked for the wives to stay home, but that this is just something that Christine doesn't want to do, acting like she didn't try to stay home at first. I hate how he puts things, She was behind it in the beginning, even though she disagreed with it. But then it got to the point where it's like, how many weeks did he want her to do that? And she did what she had to do. Christine admits that she walks a fine line with COVID. She knows that Cody wants her to stay home, but she won't because she has other kids that she wants to see. No judgment there. As I said previously, to each his own. At some point, I was with family as well, so I get it. You take whatever precautions works for your family. Cody says he feels like a loser and that nobody wants to be around. And that's what it all boils down to, is how Cody feels. No one else is. Christine talks about Isabel needing surgery for her scoliosis. It was required that in order for her to have the surgery done, that she first had to have insurance. It took 6 months for Christine to get approved for it. Keep in mind that she was diagnosed with scoliosis when she was 13. This is not a cosmetic situation. This is something that causes a great deal of pain, from my understanding. So 9 months ago, Isabel told her mother that she could no longer take the pain that she was in from her scoliosis. So they go to the doctor and they find out that her curve has increased It's over 50 degrees. She needs surgery. This is not something that was a shocker. Their specialists prior to them leaving Vegas had already told them beforehand that this was inevitable, that despite the different things that they were trying, that at some point she was going to need surgery. That information alone would have been enough for me to be like, okay, when is the earliest appointment? My daughter's in a lot of pain. Let's see what I can do. Christine says she lives every day, Isabel does, in pain. And she knows getting surgery during the pandemic isn't smart. She's not stupid, but her child is in pain. I can't begin to imagine what that feels like, because I get lower back pain sometimes from my upper body half. And I notice for me, it gets worse based on weight gain. So when I fluctuate sometimes in weight, when I'm gaining weight, me washing dishes can hurt my back because I'm top heavy, and then with the extra pounds and I'm short, it's just too much. So if I'm feeling that way and my spine doesn't have a curvature, how does this young lady whose spine is curved, who's been experiencing this for a long time, feels? It has to be miserable to go through your life daily with a high level of pain. And we also know too, based on previous episodes in other seasons, that she also had really bad migraine headaches. Now, I don't know if the two are associated with each other, but why wouldn't you try to help in one area if you could? So Christine lets Cody know that they have to be in New Jersey on a Monday, and surgery would happen on either Wednesday or Thursday. Based on what the doctors are saying, if all goes well, they would end up being out of the town at the hospital or home, I guess, for a total of 10 days. Cody, being the father of the year that he is, asks why they can't put this off until after the pandemic, until when he and the family can come. The amount of restraint that Christine showed in that moment shows that she is better than I. Because I don't even think that the whole family needs to go to New Jersey. I think that as long as her mother and her father were there, that she would have been okay. But as usual, Cody, being the douche that he is, makes this about him. He starts talking about Christine and how she's just doing this because she wants things done this way, and how he just doesn't get the urgency to do this right now. And this is just once again her not following the rules. And Christine says the reason why it needs to be done now is because of the level of pain that she's in on a daily basis. She's operating on a level of 8 or 9. You guys understand that's with the highest being on a scale of 10. 9 months ago, she told her mom that she couldn't take the pain anymore. Cody hears all of this, sees his daughter's reaction, because the whole entire time, whenever the camera was on her, I was looking at her, and you can tell she was even being hurt by the conversation that was being had. Cody hears all this, and he's against it because, in his words, exposure to the virus is too dangerous. He doesn't even think twice before he says, New Jersey is too close to New York. It's a hot spot. I'm not going. And Christine's like, at this point, so is Arizona. He says, I'm not getting on a plane for that. Cody's like, okay, what will it hurt to wait 6 months? And he'd be off my porch. She wanted to have surgery years ago. Isabel did. But she didn't because she was trying to appease him by not having the surgery. We listened to him as he blamed her for why her curvature had gotten worse, because she wasn't doing the exercises that the doctor had already told her wasn't going to work. And he believed was just a way of that company taking advantage of a family that was desperate to have some improvements to their daughter. The amount of anger I had during this scene, watching Isabel as her father talked about her like she didn't matter, it broke my heart. I was crying before she even started crying because you could see the pain in her face. I understand the concerns regarding possible exposure to the virus during travel there. I get the fears, but I don't consider this to be an elective procedure. And Cody was an insensitive jerk during the discussion. Do you not know your daughter? Can you not tell that she's hurt daily? Can you not see that she's hurt by the very things that you're saying with her right now as she sits here in desperation just to have you say, okay, you can have the surgery, which at that point, It's not a matter of can I do it. I'm already telling you what the plan is. So later on when Cody's like, go ahead, just go ahead and set it up and do it as soon as you can. She already told you she was doing it. Isabel says that the pain is so bad that she doesn't want to wait any longer. Christine says she is with her every single day, and it is already 9 months after the time that she asked and said that she couldn't take it no more. Cody says if the surgery is in September, he is not going. He tells us that he just doesn't understand why she can't let the pandemic pass and they can all go together, because he needs to be there. And I don't know why they can't wait. And they just told your dumb butt why they couldn't wait. They just told you about her level of pain. They just told you this is something that she's been needing for a long time. They just told you that the insurance stuff and all that stuff is straight. They told you all of this. So why are you acting so surprised? Christine says, look, I'm going to do what's right for Isabel. Boom. That's it. Say no more. That's all that needed to be said at that point. I wouldn't have continued to go back and forth in any form of discussion with Cody, because it's not about Cody. It's about your child. Cody says, but we have to do what's right for the whole family, not what Isabel needs, which negates Isabel yet again, because at this point, he's not seeing the whole family. So why does the whole family even matter? The whole family isn't in Flagstaff, and the ones that are, you aren't actively seeking out. The only family you're concerned about is the feathered crew. Cody then says, I don't know what to do in this situation. I don't know. I mean, can she go by herself? Christine is about to lose her ish at the suggestion, in hopes he is really going to understand how stupid what he just asked was before she responds. And there is no excuse for it. He doesn't care. Cody turns to his daughter and asks if she can do it later on and do it alone. Like, if it's done in September, can you do it by yourself? Don't you think it would be better though if you wait 6 months and have me and your mom there? Isabel is holding back tears as he continues to talk, and then she can't hold him anymore and she starts crying. Her mom sees her. She's like, it's not that you're not important. It's not that you're not important. Yeah, Christine, it is that she's not important. He doesn't feel she's important. But Christine, being the mom that she is, trying to protect her child, says that, you're not going to go alone. 100%. You're not going to go alone. I promise you that. I would never do that to you. It takes this for him to realize that his daughter is in desperate need of this surgery, and that Christine isn't just trying to do what she wants. He's so upset with Christine that he can't look past his frustration with her. He even admits it. So if he's saying here that he's so mad with Christine and how everything has transpired that he can't look past that to see his daughter's in pain, then what do you think the situation has been in that household with Christine's kids for the amount of time that he's despised Christine? This is evidence of how he treats kids based on how he feels about their moms. He is a clown. So Cody finally realizes that he should not have said that. But it's too late, because Isabel is crying and upset, and she gets up and asks her mom if she can leave. I don't get why he would not travel for her surgery. This wasn't something simple. This was a major surgery. He could have went there, stayed a few days, made sure everything was okay, return after surgery, and since you're so worried about hurting the other family, take a test and then go quarantine for 2 weeks alone at Christine's house, because nobody would have been there. But instead, he proved what they already knew, which that he does not care about that child, and that was heartbreaking. She asked him through tears, Isabel does, how long do you want me to wait? Christine says there are some things that we can put off, and this is not one of those things. He says as soon as they're willing to set the appointment, I would just go ahead and set the appointment, and he leaves. If you saw your daughter walk off, be asked if she could be excused while she's crying, go into the house, would you not ask her to come back out so that you could speak to her and make sure that she knows that, you're sorry and you love her before you leave? No, not him. Instead, he goes into the driveway and stands there like he's just so distraught at this stuff. And he walks out, and then he makes excuses for his responses. Christine said maybe if he was around more, he would see her pain more. And that's what it boils down to. He wasn't around to see it. And I think that when he was around, he disconnected. Janelle. Cody is on his way to Janelle. He tells us that he just wants to say to his wives, it will only be a few more weeks, so why can't we just stay in place so I can be home? Meanwhile, Janelle makes a statement saying that for the past 5 months, Cody really hasn't been there. Was that because of the pandemic or was that because of something else? I don't know where we're at on the timeline. You guys let me know down below, because it's supposed to be past graduation. Most schools, that's in May or June, depending on the area. I think for them it's May. We know that the surgery for one is supposed to be in September. The surgery that she's now talking about is going to be in August. Hunter was supposed to be there for the summer. What's the timeline we're talking about? Okay. Cody goes over there. She tells him they need to get their calendars together because she's about to go see Maddie. Due to Evie's condition, one of her legs is shorter than the other. So she's having surgery to amputate it so that she can later be fitted with a prosthetic. This was already planned. Surgery is scheduled for August 20th. She wants to make sure that she's there for that as well as support Maddie and them in whatever way she can. I get it. It makes sense to me. Janelle's saying, I'm going to go get this surgery to help my daughter after our granddaughter is surgery. And I'm not going to be able to see you for a month to 2 months based on the timeline and me having to quarantine and all those other things. And it's not as much of a problem. But when Christine is taking their child to go have surgery that she too needs, he gets upset about it and comes down on Christine like Christine is doing this just because she wants to, and not because it's something that needs to be done. Hence the double standard. Y'all tell me what you think. So Janelle is worried that she and Cody won't see each other for 2 months because of overlapping schedules and because of the surgery. Cody doesn't want her to go, but he's telling us that he's not going to say anything because he knows that Janelle's going to go anyway, and it will just spoil it for her if they go back and forth. She says she's going to miss Cody, but she just has to look at this where she's taking it day by day. You can tell she's sad in confessional as well as at the time they're outside talking about it. She says it's like 5 or 6 months of us being apart, and he says we've done worse. In my opinion, it's not bothering him as much as he claims it is. He says we stopped getting together as a family a while ago, so he doesn't quite understand why everybody's trying to act like it's such a big deal that they're not seeing each other. Janelle says she's just concerned at this point about them, with her adding, just tell me that it's going to be okay and we're going to be all right. Tell me you love me. He says, I love you. I miss you. It's going to be okay. He gets up, kisses her, and then leaves. Why couldn't you stay there longer? And what was the point of you all sitting there and talking like that if he still kissed her? I don't quite get it. Let's end it. Coyote Pass. Our final scene, Christine's meeting. Understand that this moment, in my opinion, made the Bald Eagle's day. Ramen set up Christine to fail. When they were at Christine's house, he sounded interested in moving to St. George, but he was doing it to throw her under the bus, laughing about how the other wives would not be supportive and she'd bear the brunt of it instead of him. And here we get to see it play out. Christine calls a meeting with the wives and Cody. They meet outside. She talks about when they went to visit the Dargers, saying she felt normal with them. I'm telling y'all now, I'm probably going to leave some stuff out because this was a lot of talking. If I leave something out that you want to include, you know what to do. Adding that at first, Utah was off limits in her mind because of the law and she was afraid, but now everything has changed and polygamy got decriminalized. They are fine with polygamy families there now, she says, and she wants to move back. They have been there for 2 years and they've done nothing with the property. And she's telling us that if they were going to do something with the property, that they would have done it by now. She's right. She's like, does nobody else not see that we're going to do something with the property? Cody asks if she feels like this because it's taken them so long that because it took so long for them to build on the property, basically like they weren't destined to be there. And he already knew the answer to that. He already knew that it didn't have anything to do with it. Goodness gracious, I'm getting so many alerts right now, and I forgot to put this thing on Do Not Disturb. I need my friend to stop, my BFF to stop texting me. She literally just sent like 12 messages back to back, and she knows I hate that. You green people, I don't know about you Android people. This is the stuff that you do. Sorry, you know we're family here. I just can't stand it because there's so many messages. Look, that does not happen with an iPhone. Anyways, so she is proposing that they not develop on this land and instead they sell it and that they go back to Utah. She adds that if she wasn't with the family, that she would already be there, which is why when she did leave, when she was done with Cody, she didn't waste any time to get out of there. Mary asks if Christine thinks that just because of a law change that there are going to be no repercussions. And Christine points out that, you know, y'all are acting like this place isn't with its issues as well, that the kids have had problems in both places, that Isabel has had a rough time. And she tells, you know, how she's been teased and stuff because of their choices. And Janelle tells us that she has a hard time believing that because neither one of her children had been teased. But Isabel was being teased when she was in Vegas as well. So you don't know what she's faced. Janelle thinks Christine is just trying to make a case to move. And when she said this, I looked at Janelle and I realized in that moment that Janelle has spoken badly about Christine to Cody too. Because the way she paused and looked like she was censoring herself and thinking before she was speaking makes me feel like she wanted to say more, but she held back some, knowing that Christine would see this. Robin says she would love to move back to Utah to be with, you know, her family and stuff, but she has to think about the kids because her kids are the only kids that matters, even though the other parents were trying to think about the kids before they moved to Flagstaff. I'm just saying. Robin says, what if they change it again? What if some big shots gets in and makes it even worse than it was before? Janelle isn't feeling it at all, to the point where she says, she's the one with kids out there, not me. There's nothing for me in Utah. And her gut reaction is anger. And I get that it's aggravating that Christine, after all that they've been through, wants to switch it up like this. But to me, it would also be aggravating that they've allowed Cody to talk them in to selling homes that they were comfortably living in, where their family was somewhat seeming to do better, to move to Flagstaff in the first place. How hard would it have been for Janelle to just say that I don't agree with us moving? You didn't have to add the part about the anger, though, because in my opinion, it's fueling Cody's fire. Janelle says, just because something changes doesn't mean that you got to pull up the stakes and you got to run back. She doesn't want to go back to Utah and live in some development. Mary thinks there's a big difference between her owning a business in Utah and her taking care of her mother and her mom living in Utah. I hate that Mary points that out, because even though Mary says she didn't want to go to Utah, she didn't go to Utah, you still had ties to Utah. So don't act like your business being there couldn't have been taken as well. Cody even pointed it out. So sympathize with her a little bit. Cody says he's in a place where his kids just, you know, love where they are. And I'm looking at him and I said, okay, you're not even trying to back her up at all. Christine, like myself, is surprised. But then again, I'm not really surprised. I don't know why Christine was surprised, because he always flip-flops. Cody is acting like he's not in favor of this, but it is a win-win for him, because at this point he enjoys seeing Christine in discomfort, my opinion. Christine says her heart is really in Utah and she thinks it's the most logical place to be. Mary asks Christine if she's considering going regardless if the family wants to go or not, and Christine's like, I don't know. At that moment, I think she knew. Christine starts crying and says, we aren't moving, are we? And in that moment, I could feel her pain. I can feel how desperate she was and how the reality of her situation came to her. Cody says, I'm at the place where my kids love it here, and for the price, I wouldn't be able to replace this in Utah. Switching up on her once again. He says, we're in too deep in Flagstaff and now she wants to move. Yeah, I wanted her to present it to her sister wives. They've always blamed me. They've always acted like I'm the problem. And it's just one of the double standards in plural marriage. The husband always gets blamed. He gets blamed for the kids fighting. He gets blamed for the wives fighting. And finally, and he's smiling while he's saying all of this, it's not my fault. He's taking joy in it. Christine says when they visited Utah, everybody said it was home. That they loved the mountains. And she thought they would feel the same way as her. Robin says it's home, but it's not friendly. And she doesn't feel comfortable doing that to her kids. They're acting like other places don't feel the same way about polygamy. I'm just saying, like, it's not just Utah. It may be more vocal out there, but I mean, different states feel this way. Whatever. So, Christine is crying. The fact that the bird cries when the wind blows and Christine is sitting here crying and actually sobbing that the bird, who always tries to convince us that she's so hurt by things and she's the emotional one and she has no reaction to Christine's tears. I want to know where's the humanity in the bird, because I was watching Christine cry and I got a little choked up watching her cry. Meanwhile, they're looking at her like, what's she crying for? Mary gets up and takes Christine by the hand and walks away with her. And Cody says, I don't understand why she didn't pitch it to them. You were so excited about it talking to me. Pitch it to him. Why didn't she pitch it to him? It just seems like she didn't even try. And she did try and it got shut down. But that's what he wanted. He took joy in watching it. So Mary and Christine walk off. And she's telling Christine to look at the mountains, look at the mountains. This is what you saw that day. And Christine says, it's not enough. Mary tells her, make it enough. And you don't get to give up like that. You're not a quitter. And I want Mary Caroline Brown to shut up. Christine says, Mary, I don't want it. Mary tells her that she can't say what she wants when she's hurting. She can't be real. And Christine's looking at her like, what do you mean I can't be real? This is real. The feeling is I don't want it. It doesn't make sense to me, because when I'm hurting, that's probably my realest state of vulnerability. I'm giving you exactly how I'm feeling right now because I'm not caring about how I'm emoting. And in that moment, Christine was not. She wasn't hiding her feelings. Christine is over it. She says she agreed to move to Flagstaff, but it has been a struggle the whole time. And she is tired of feeling like she doesn't matter. And she doesn't have any support when she needs it. She needs a partnership, something different than this. What she has there is not something that she wants right now. Mary is still sitting there and she's like, you need to fight for it, do the work for it. And as she's telling her what she needs to do, I said, this is reminding me of the flashback to when Mary was in Vegas and Christine was struggling and Mary was doing okay with Cody at that point. And she asked for help from Mary, and Mary gave her this same crappy talk, telling her to work on herself and to fight for it. And here she is again, years later, doing that. Part of me feels like Mary may get a little joy, despite her trying to make the situation better, out of not being alone in the space where she is. She says, we didn't put all these years in, Christine, for us to walk out of it. That's not what we did. You didn't put in your years, and I didn't put in my 30 years to just walk away. And Christine tells us, Mary's relationship with Cody is certainly not something that I would want, nor is the current state of the relationship that I have with Cody. It's just not what I want. I want more. And that is how they ended. And I just felt like this was a way to end it, because despite Cody telling us about the sacrifices he made to be with her and all these other things, this right here is showing the sacrifices that she made to be with him. I feel like with this family, with the polygamous culture, a lot of it is about the male and their ego. And I could be wrong, but it seems to me like Cody's desire is for his wives, for his kids to all make him feel like he is the man and that what he says goes. And because he was getting pushback, that he didn't like it. I also feel like Christine at this point was tired and she was beginning to show what her next steps would be, which was going to be her choosing herself and her kids. But you guys, let me know what you thought about this video. Go ahead and like the video. It helps the channel. And if you haven't done so already, subscribe. It helps too. Until next time.